They made America laugh as hillbillies became riches for 9 years. However, the true tragedy started after the cameras stopped recording. The cast was shattered by abrupt deaths, covert feuds, and hidden diseases. On Broadway, one star passed out. A frantic political campaign that ended in humiliation was launched by another. You will be left dumbfounded by the awful reality of what occurred to TV's favorite family today. Buddy Ebsen had the option to retire in 1971 when the Beverly Hillbillies disbanded. He had just completed 9 years of playing Jed Clampett, a role that gave him a household figure, and he was already 63. However, rather than slowing down, he began a whole new endeavor. Buddy shocked everyone in 1973 by assuming a completely different role. In a crime drama, he played the serious private investigator Barnaby Jones. This was far from the humorous and easygoing Jed Clampett. He portrayed a resolute detective who solved his son's murder in the role of Barnaby. The show ran for 8 years and was a huge hit. Its 178 episodes all included Buddy, demonstrating that he wasn't finished yet. Few actors ever get to feature in 2 long-running series back-to-back, and Buddy was 72 by the time it ended in 1980. After Barnaby Jones, Buddy continued to act. He starred in the television film Fire on the Mountain in 1981 when he was 73 years old. He then starred in another one, Stone Fox, in 1986. He even had a recurring role in the action series Matt Houston in 1984, at the age of 76. Buddy didn't seem to let getting older slow him down. He did one of the most unexpected things in 1999, a long time after. Buddy made a voiceover in the animated series King of the Hill at the age of 91. This minor job demonstrated the longevity of his career, occurring 37 years after his initial rise to fame as Jed Clampett. But Buddy was more than just an actor. He was an excellent sailor and liked sailing. He even created the Polynesian concept, his own catamaran. He competed in international races, so this wasn't merely for pleasure. In 1968, when he was still a member of the Beverly Hillbillies, he won a 125-mile race from Newport Beach to Ensenada in less than 14 hours on his boat. However, he was also inventive in other ways. In addition to writing over 80 songs, he also penned 2 theatrical dramas, Turn to the Right and The Champagne General. He was more than just a performer. He was a creative individual who wrote plays and songs. Buddy made the decision to live a simpler life by the sea later in life. He constructed a home on Balboa Island, a serene location off the coast of Newport Beach, rather than remaining in Hollywood. For someone who loved the ocean as much as he did, it was the ideal house. Buddy continued to be active as he grew older and enjoyed telling tales about his incredible career. He discussed his life on Larry King Live on his 93rd birthday in 2001. He still exuded charm and vitality. Buddy died on July 6, 2003, when he was 95 years old. To honor him, TV Land broadcast a special marathon of the Beverly Hillbillies a week later. It was a heartfelt approach to honor his life and serve as a reminder to everyone of the great amount of work he accomplished over his remarkable career. Irene Ryan's life took a drastic turn on March 23, 1971, when the Beverly Hillbillies disbanded. Despite her advanced age of 68, she had no intention of retiring. She made the decision to go back to live theater rather than portraying Granny Daisy Moses in spin-offs or advertisements. It was a brave decision, particularly for a person of her age. Irene was adamant about continuing to perform, though. She took part in a 30-city tour of the musical Pippin later that year. With 8 shows a week, it was a demanding schedule. Irene put much more effort than anyone anticipated. Despite her diminutive size and approaching 70, her vitality astounded everyone. She was busy backstage as well, handling the mayhem with professionalism. Her drive was compared to that of her vaudeville days, according to some. She portrayed the main character's grandma, Berta, in the show. No Time at All, one of her songs, became a hit. She received standing ovations every night from audiences who adored her. She was also lauded by critics. Her performance was so compelling, according to the New York Times, that her co-star was unable to deliver his following line due to the prolonged applause. On October 23, 1972, Irene made her major Broadway debut in New York City. Her transformation from a grandmother to a theatrical star astounded everyone. Her efforts were rewarded on March 26, 1973, when she received a Tony Award nomination. Everyone hailed her victory, and it was a momentous day for her. Then a horrible event occurred. Irene passed out during a concert on March 10, 1973. She insisted on completing the show even though it appeared to be a stroke. She then went back to California to visit a physician. At that point, she received devastating news. She had only weeks to live, according to physicians, because of an aggressive brain tumor called glioblastoma. People continued to compliment her performance even as she lay in the hospital. Irene's name appeared on the list of nominees for the Tony Awards, which were revealed on April 16, 1973. Unfortunately, she was never able to make it to the wedding. Irene died on April 26, 1973, just 10 days later. She was 70 years old. Everyone was taken aback by her unexpected passing, particularly considering she had only been on stage for a few weeks. Irene made sure her legacy would endure before she passed away. She established the Irene Ryan Foundation with her whole fortune, which totaled more than $1 million. The charity helps budding performers realize their goals by providing scholarships. Shortly before her death in 1972, the first scholarships were given out. Many of the thousands of performers the organization has assisted since then have gone on to have prosperous careers. Douglas, Donna. As Ellie Mae Clampett, Donna Douglas rose to fame. Millions of people adore the show in the Beverly Hillbillies. But there were several surprises and significant changes in her life after the show finished. On April 23, 1971, after the performance ended, Donna had to make a decision. She may have become even more well-known if Hollywood had asked her to star in a new soap drama. However, she shocked everyone by refusing. She decided to take a totally other route rather than pursue further popularity. Donna visited Israel in September 1971, a few months later. Her life was forever altered by this journey. She turned to Christian ministry after having a profound spiritual experience. Donna left Hollywood to pursue a career as an inspiring speaker and gospel singer. Donna Douglas Sings Gospel, her debut gospel CD, was released in 1982. It was a success even if it didn't sell millions, selling 500,000 copies. She released her final album, Back on the Mountain, in 1989 after releasing 3 more over the years. Donna also talked candidly about a hidden battle she endured while working on the Beverly Hillbillies. She had struggled with a severe eating condition, consuming as few as 500 calories per day and losing weight to 95 pounds. At the time, no one was aware of this. However, Donna claimed that she overcame it because of her faith. Donna made headlines once more in 2011, but for a very different reason this time. She filed a $75 million lawsuit against Mattel and CBS, claiming that they had stolen her image for an Ellie Mae Barbie doll. The court battle went on for months. Even though it was resolved out of court, it demonstrated Donna's strength and resolve, which was similar to the role she portrayed on television. Donna tried her hand at real estate sales when the Beverly Hillbillies ended. Although she received her license in 1973, she left the company soon after. Only 3 homes were sold by her. A fan recognized her and insisted on purchasing the house simply because Donna was selling it, which led to one of those sales. She decided that real estate wasn't for her and pursued other interests. Donna was a book author as well. Donna's Critters and Kids, her debut novel, was published in 1993. Her love of animals served as the inspiration for this compilation of children's stories with Christian themes. More than 100,000 copies were sold. She went on to write Miss Donna's Mulberry Acres Farm and, in 2013, Southern Favorites with a Taste of Hollywood, a cookbook. In addition to recipes, the cookbook included advice on how to behave in Hollywood, combining her Hollywood background with her Southern charm. Donna was requested to reprise her role as Ellie Mae in a Beverly Hillbillies film in 1993. She didn't think that was the correct thing to do, so she declined. Her choice demonstrated her admiration for the role she had portrayed for so long, even though the film was never realized. Throughout her life, Donna maintained a relationship with her fans. People still recognized her as Ellie Mae when she went to conventions and events. She revealed a startling secret at one of her final performances in December 2014. She had retained all of Ellie Mae's outfits, including her well-known rope belt and blue trousers. She had kept them in her house with care. At the age of 82, Donna died on January 1, 2015. After the Beverly Hillbillies, her life took several unexpected turns. She developed into a strong religious woman, a singer, and a writer. Although she will always be known as Ellie Mae, Donna's life story was equally as remarkable and inspirational as her well-known persona. Bear, Max Jr. On December 4, 1937, Max Bear Jr. was born in Oakland, California. His role as Jethro Bodine in the Beverly Hillbillies made him renowned. He became famous because of this part, but it also had a negative impact on his career in the future. After 9 years, the show terminated on March 23, 1971. People only viewed Max as Jethro after that, therefore he had trouble finding other acting roles. Despite his various talents and business degree, Hollywood didn't take him seriously. He seldom found any work for 3 years. Another issue was money. The first episode of the Beverly Hillbillies paid Max just $500. His pay only increased to $800 per episode, even after the show became the most popular in America. This paled in comparison to the salaries of today's TV show stars. Max found himself in a difficult situation once the show ended and acting gigs started flooding in. Max made the decision to take charge of his future in 1974. He produced his own film, Macon County Line, using his commercial acumen. The movie, which cost slightly more than $100,000 to make, was written, produced, and starred him. It made $35 million and became a great hit in spite of all the odds. Max's career was revitalized by this achievement, which demonstrated that he was more than just an actor. He then went on to make another hit film, Ode to Billy Joe, in 1976. Max purchased the rights to one of Bobby Gentry's well-known songs and made a movie out of it. This film made $27 million at the box office, demonstrating Max's ability to make modest endeavors into major hits. Max continued after that. He had a brilliant business concept in 1985. Max made the decision to design a casino with a Beverly Hillbillies motif after being influenced by previous TV-themed attractions, such as the Bonanza Ranch. He thought the show's fans would adore it. This project demonstrated his perseverance and inventiveness despite requiring nearly 30 years of planning. However, prosperity was not the only aspect of Max's existence. He had a tragic loss in 2000. Cherry Rhodes, his girlfriend, tragically passed away at their Tahoe, Nevada, home. She left a note behind, which Max discovered along with her. For him, this was a devastating moment that attracted a lot of unwelcome media attention. In the spotlight, he had to confront his sadness. He gained notoriety as Jethro Bodine, but the role also constrained him. Max was irritated that others couldn't perceive him as anything else, but he didn't let that stop him from using his association with the character in his business concepts. He put a lot of effort into demonstrating that he could succeed outside of acting at the same time. Max Bear Jr., the final cast member of the Beverly Hillbillies, is currently 87 years old. His life demonstrates his ability to transform obstacles into possibilities. Despite hardship, he forged a new profession as an entrepreneur and filmmaker. Raymond Bailey's life took a radical turn in 1971 when the Beverly Hillbillies disbanded. For nearly a decade, he had portrayed the witty and anxious banker Milburn Drysdale. He was adored for the part. For him, however, things slowed significantly after the show was cancelled. Since he was already 67, it was quite difficult for him to obtain new employment. 2 Disney films featured him in his final roles. He portrayed a cunning businessman in the 1974 film Herbie Rides Again. He then played a college dean in the 1975 film The Strongest Man in the World. These parts demonstrated how he was only viewed as a serious authority figure in Hollywood. Bailey's acting career ended permanently after it. He had no choice but to retire. Bailey began exhibiting symptoms of Alzheimer's during the last episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies. Gradually, it worsened until he was unable to identify his closest friends by 1976. He was cared for by his wife, Gabby George, whom he had married in 1951. Bailey used to enjoy life and meeting admirers, but as his illness worsened, he avoided social situations. He lived quietly in Laguna Niguel between a houseboat and a modest house during his latter years. Nancy Culp, who portrayed Miss Jane Hathaway, was the only cast member he maintained contact with. Slim was his nickname for her. Alzheimer's disease was little understood in the 1970s. the majority believed it to be a normal aspect of aging. Bailey's condition rapidly deteriorated, necessitating ongoing care. His character Drysdale, who was always astute and shrewd and worked to keep the Clampetts' money in his bank, was a far cry from this. Another major issue was money. Despite the popularity of the Beverly Hillbillies, Bailey did not receive the same salary as modern TV celebrities. In those days, actors earned between $1,500 and $3,000 every show, which is currently between $11,000 and $22,000. The revenue from replays was also quite low. In addition, his savings ran out and his medical expenditures continued to rise. It was depressing since he had portrayed a persona who was completely preoccupied with saving money for years. Bankers continued to adore Bailey even after his career stagnated. He received hundreds of invites each year to speak at banking gatherings while the Beverly Hillbillies were on television. Despite the pandemonium of the Clampett, bankers admired the way he made their profession seem significant. In fact, Bailey had been a messenger in a bank in his 20s, but he left because he found the job uninteresting. He used that knowledge to give Drysdale a more authentic appearance many years later. He once made a joke about how bankers viewed Drysdale as someone who was attempting to calm down irascible clients, just the way they had to handle their own challenging clientele. Bailey died of a heart attack on April 15, 1980. He was 75. His ashes were scattered at sea since he did not want a public funeral. Few people paid any attention to his demise. In contrast to the lavish plaudits some of his co-stars received, the Los Angeles Times merely published a brief obituary. Nevertheless, his portrayal of Milburn Drysdale made an impression. He received a special award from the American Bankers Association in 2019 for making banking seem humorous and approachable amid difficult economic times. According to a quote from Bailey, "Money can buy a good to pay, but it can't buy happiness." The fact that this prize ended up being his last joke is certainly something he would have liked. Culp, Nancy. Although she was well known for her role as Miss Jane Hathaway on the Beverly Hillbillies, Nancy Culp had a turbulent personal life after the program. She had numerous difficulties. Moments that demonstrated her strength and determination, as well as some unexpected turns. Her TV part is only one aspect of her story. Nancy made the decision to run for Congress in 1984 at the age of 62. Despite the fact that the 9th District of Pennsylvania was primarily Republican, she still wanted to represent it. She was a Democrat who was concerned about issues like education and environmental protection. She thought she could change things. Despite the fact that her Hollywood background made people doubt her, Nancy assured voters that she was just as capable of transitioning from acting to politics as Ronald Reagan. "Anyone who cares and listens may succeed," she added. But when her Beverly Hillbillies co-star Buddy Ebsen backed her opponent, things went south. Nancy was too liberal for Pennsylvania, Buddy claimed in a radio ad. Nancy was deeply offended by this because they had previously battled about politics. He was a Republican, while she was a Democrat. However, she never imagined that he would openly criticize her. "He's not the good-natured old Jed Clampett," she further stated. "He has no interest in it." She only received roughly one-third of the vote, and regrettably, the advertisement destroyed her prospects of winning. She carried the altercation with Buddy with her for years. She made sure no one around her spoke his name. Just before she passed away, they reconciled. And Buddy acknowledged the error in the advertisement. Nancy didn't earn as much money as people may believe, despite her fame from the Beverly Hillbillies. Although it was good at the time, her $5,000 per episode salary was insufficient to support her throughout her life. Her TV roles paid significantly less when the show ended, and by the 1980s, she was having financial difficulties. When she was diagnosed with cancer, things became worse because the treatments were costly. She relied on checks from show reruns and taught acting to supplement her income while living in peace and quiet in Palm Springs, California. She didn't get wealthy from her TV career like other of her co-stars did, which made her later years difficult. Nancy had an extremely secluded life. She supported LGBTQ+ causes and believed in the need of fighting for civil rights before many others openly discussed them. Although she never publicly acknowledged it, she confided in friends near the end of her life that she was a lesbian. She had married Charles Dacus in 1951, but the two parted ways in 1961. Nancy once remarked, "Some doors are better left unopened," and she never enjoyed discussing him. Although Nancy kept the specifics to herself, people assumed that their divorce was due to their extreme differences. Nancy discovered a new calling in teaching following her political defeat. In 1985, she started teaching at Juniata College in Pennsylvania. She lectured on how women are portrayed in the media, directed plays, and taught theater. She was adored by her students, who described her as tough but compassionate. Nancy took pleasure in teaching young people the value of storytelling and sharing her Hollywood anecdotes. She continued to pursue acting, even making an appearance on an episode of The New Love Boat in 1989. But her favorite thing to do was teach. Nancy was 69 years old when she died on February 3, 1991. She was recognized as a fearless politician, a gifted actress, and a person who stood up for her convictions. More individuals have realized over time how deeply she cared about assisting others and promoting causes that she supported. She was reintroduced to the public as Miss Jane Hathaway when the Beverly Hillbillies began to stream online. Although Nancy's life wasn't always easy, she overcame her obstacles with courage and demonstrated that people are more complex than they appear on film. McGibbon, Harriet E. As Margaret Drysdale on the Beverly Hillbillies, Harriet E. McGibbon rose to fame. She played a snooty, wealthy woman who caused problems for the Clampetts. Her life took a new turn when the program ended in 1971, one that was full of hardships, losses, and some unexpected revelations about her family's past. Harriet had been in entertainment for 50 years and was already 66 when the performance concluded. After that, she continued to perform, although only in minor parts. She made her final appearance in The Best Place to Be in 1979 after playing a wealthy hostess in the 1972 television film The Judge and Jake Weiler. She has made brief appearances on programs like Mannix and Bewitched. However, she found it difficult to land new parts because everyone saw her as Mrs. Drysdale. She claimed in an interview that it upset her because she had previously portrayed important characters in Shakespearean plays. She continued to be busy for a while, going to Beverly Hills parties and charity events, despite her acting career slowing down. Harriet had a difficult time in the 1970s. William, her only son, died at the age of 44. He had been battling depression, although he was an art historian who admired Paul Gauguin's paintings. She was devastated by his passing. She established a scholarship in his honor, but she kept it a secret. She struggled financially as well. She made a lot of money on the Beverly Hillbillies, but she only had a little left over from bad investments. Her health deteriorated by the 1980s. She became ill with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, and spent much of her time at home, only leaving for church services while carrying an oxygen tank. Harriet's family background was among her most unexpected features. Dr. Eleazar Deming, her great-grandfather, assisted slaves in Indiana in escaping to freedom via the Underground Railroad. He once assisted a family in escaping by hiding them in fictitious coffins. He was jailed in 1862 for violating the Fugitive Slave Act, but he used family funds to post bail. Although Harriet rarely discussed this aspect of her life, she preserved his tale by donating his writings to a historical group in 1985. With the assistance of a nurse, Harriet lived a tranquil life in a modest Beverly Hills home during her last years. She enjoyed having tea and scones in the morning and watching vintage films in the afternoon. For Horsemen of the Apocalypse was one of her favorite old films. She wore Mrs. Drysdale's renowned fox stole to a Beverly Hillbillies reunion in 1985, but she had to leave early due to respiratory issues. At the age of 81, she died in 1987. Her ashes were interred at Forest Lawn Cemetery with a memorial that read, "Harriet had a long and interesting life, even though people mostly remember her as Mrs. Drysdale." She refused a funeral. She even contributed to the transformation of discourse in American theater and was among the first radio actresses to use live sound effects. By never apologizing for her ambition, her Beverly Hillbillies character subtly questioned gender norms. Actors are still motivated by her performance today, and many students have benefited from the scholarship she established in her son's honor. Despite the highs and lows of her life, Harriet left a legacy that extended much beyond her one TV role. Benadarat, B. The Beverly Hillbillies included B. Benadarat as Pearl Bodine, a cousin. People adored her role, despite the fact that she only appeared in 22 episodes during the first season, which ran from 1962 to 1963. She shot her final episode on October 17, 1963. The true story was more nuanced, but officially she quit to star in her own program, Petticoat Junction. Bea was covertly coping with health issues at the time. In 1963, she received a diagnosis of a tumor in her left lung, but she kept it a secret. The Beverly Hillbillies were only starting to gain popularity when this occurred. The show's creator, Paul Henning, presented her with a difficult decision at about the same time. He gave her the choice to be the lead in his new series, Petticoat Junction, or remain his cousin Pearl. The opportunity to star in her own show was too enticing to pass up, even if Bea enjoyed portraying Pearl. CBS tried to persuade her to stay before departing. They even offered to pay her twice as much. After giving it some thought, Bea made the decision to follow through on her pledge and relocated to Petticoat Junction. She initially found it difficult to adapt. She struggled to shed Pearl's manners and accent. On set, it led to delays, and others questioned if she was the appropriate fit. However, Bea's skill was indisputable, and the show was a hit. Bea's health deteriorated as her career flourished. She underwent surgery to remove the tumor in 1967, during the 5th season of Petticoat Junction. Unfortunately, medical professionals discovered that her lung cancer had progressed and was incurable. Despite her severe illness, Bea continued to work as much as she could. The last time she appeared on television was on September 28, 1968. Her voice was used since she was unable to appear on camera. Fans were unaware that it would be her last show. On October 13, 1968, Bea died. Buddy Ebsen, her former co-star, paid her a visit shortly before she passed away. He later revealed that Bea told him, "Tell Pearl I said goodbye," as her final words to him. Everyone was horrified by her demise. At first, Petticoat Junction avoided addressing it directly by claiming that Bea's character, Kate Bradley, was visiting family. Supporters believed that this was unjust and disrespectful to her memory. Bea left behind more than that. In 1969, Jack Bannon, her son, paid homage to his mother by performing on the Beverly Hillbillies. It was organized with Buddy Ebsen's support. Because of her prior radio work, Bea was elected into the National Radio Hall of Fame in 2006. In 2018, she celebrated her role as Betty Rubble in the Flintstones with a special gala on her 112th birthday. A live reading of a lost episode that was created specifically for her drew fans together.